That's it. Here, here. And he says he's going to do some surgery. And when he opens it up, he'll find out if he can do it easy or he can do it.
Oh, yeah.
If he has to do it hard, I'll be in contact 4 or 5 months. Can't drive, can't do nothing. I said, I'm gonna think.
One of the special ones with 2 covers.
Well, I knew. Right from here. Fall there, start
Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom. Shir Hamalot B'Shuv Adonai at Shivat Zion Haynu Kechomim. Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom, everybody. Hello, welcome. I'm so happy to see you all. I'm glad to be together on this. Good? All good? I'm glad to be together on this chilly evening. Welcome if you're watching from home. We're glad to have you. I know that's my parents, at least, because they texted Jan. Hi, parents. And I'm really glad to celebrate Shabbat with you all this evening. We're going to, this is now the time of year when I start to notice when it gets a little lighter. Today, a little lighter, a little longer. We're getting there, friends. Helps me get through the winter. Let's continue with Higale Na, which you will find on page 7. Higale, gale, gale, na, ufros, chaviv alai, et sukkot, shelo mecha. Higale, gale, gale, na, ufros, haviv alai, et sukkot, shelo mecha. Will you join me in the candle blessing? If you're lighting candles at home, I invite you to join us as well. We're on page 9. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam Ikner Shel Shabbat. Good Shabbos. We made it. I love Shabbat. We made it through a week. We did it. I'm happy to be together. We're going to continue welcoming Shabbat with Lecha Dodi on page 14. Lecha lecha dodi, likra likra kala, penei penei Shabbat nekavela. Lecha lecha dodi, likra likra kala, penei penei Shabbat nekavela la la la. Lecha dodi, likra likra kala, penei penei Shabbat nekavela. Lecha lecha dodi, likra likra kala. Penei penei Shabbat nekavela. Shamor v'zachor v'dibor echad. Hishmi'anu el hameyuchad. Adonai echad u'shemo echad. L'shem u'tiferet v'litchila la la la. Lecha dodi likra kala. Penei penei Shabbat nekavela. Lecha lecha dodi, likra kala, penei penei Shabbat nekavela. Likrat Shabbat lechu v'nelcha, ki mekor haberacha, merosh mikadem nasucha. Sof ma'aseh b'machshavat chila la la la. Lecha dodi, likra kala. Penei penei Shabbat nekavela. Lecha lecha dodi, likra kala. Penei penei Shabbat nekavela. Hitoreri, kiva orech kumi ori, uri shir daberi. Kavod Adonai Elech nigla la la la. Lecha dodi, likra kala. Penei penei Shabbat nekavela. Lecha lecha dodi, likra kala. Penei penei Shabbat nekavela. Boi v'shalom ateret bala. Gam besimcha ubetola, toch emunem segula. Boi chala. Lecha dodi, likra kala, penei penei Shabbat nekavela. Lecha dodi, likra kala, penei penei Shabbat nekavela. We're going to turn now to the Chatzi Kaddish, our prayer of separation between the Psalms for welcoming Shabbat and the Shabbat prayer service itself. If you want to join me. Yitkadav yikadash shemei Rabba, ve'alma divarach hirutei v'yamlech malchutei, v'chayechon uv'yomechon uv'chayedecho b'Yisrael, ba'agala uv'izman kariv, ve'imeru amen. Yehi shmei Rabba mevorach, le'olam olam me'omaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach, v'yipa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yithalel, shemei dekudesha b'richu, le'elam min kol berchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, za'amiran be'alma, ve'imeru amen. I invite you now to rise, either in body and posture or in spirit, as we join in together for the Baruch on page 18. As we bless the source of life, so we are blessed. As we bless the the source of life. So we are blessed, and our blessing gives us strength and makes our vision clear. And our blessing gives us peace and the courage to dare. As we bless the source of life, so we are blessed. Baruch hu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam va'ed. Please be seated. We're going to continue praying at the top of page 20 in the English. Will you join me? Somewhere at the fringes of night, the shadows of darkness soften, and earth comes alive with hints of light. My heart fills with fresh, bright hope, and the world stirs to give birth to color. Colors are secrets not seen in the dark, like the promise of God when darkness is visible. Creator, you who bring dawn from the darkness, break the used goblets of my yesterdays, and let me find wisdom in the shards and grow in knowledge of your eternal presence. Baruch atah Adonai, Hama'ariv Aravim. Blessed are you, Almighty One, who makes the evenings fall. Amen. Ahavat olam, Beit Yisrael, Amcha ahavta, Torah u'mitzvot, Hukim u'mishpatim, Otanu limadeta, Al ken Adonai Eloheinu b'shachbeinu uvkumeinu nasiach bechukecha v'nismach b'divrei toratecha uv'mitzvotecha le'olam va'ed ki hem hayenu ve'orech yameinu uvahem nege yomam v'layla ve'ahavatcha al tasir mimenu le'olamim. Baruch atah Adonai Ohev Amo Yisrael, Ohev Amo Yisrael. As we continue into the Shema, I invite you to think about this prayer as the words that it is from the ancient tradition, from the book of Deuteronomy, but also as the words that have sustained our ancestors for generations, the words that our people have clung on to and continue to do so. I invite you to take a deep breath and really embody the words, think about how they shape and how they are shaped, how they move, and where they sit in your spirit as we join together. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Va'ed. Ve'ahav ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. 24. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם. So last week, I got the chance to participate in Shabbat together with a bunch of other different rabbis from different other synagogues, a lot of young folks gathering together, young adults, and it was really awesome. And we learned this great new Mechamocha that I'm not going to teach it to you tonight, but I am going to teach it to you with our artists in residence the first weekend in March. So I'm really looking forward to that. It's only a couple of weeks away, to be quite honest with you. And I just wanted to offer some gratitude because I know that meant that I wasn't here on the pulpit last week, but it was really a moment where I got to do Shabbat a little differently, and it really brought me a lot of joy. So I'm sort of brainstorming and thinking about other melodies we want to bring in and how we're going to bring our voices together in different ways. And I'm really looking forward to that weekend so we can learn some new melodies with her and think about our community voice. So that was a 2-in-1 plug for things to come. But I just like every time now I'm thinking about the Mechamocha, I'm thinking about that version Lily was there. It was a good version, right? So we're going to bring it. It's going to be great. But for now, we're going to do an old standby. So will you join with me? Night, 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 night. Yeah, night, 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 night. Yeah, night, 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 night. Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha ne'edar b'kodesh, nora tehiloto seifele, nora tehiloto seifele. Malechutecha ra'u v'necha, bokei hayam lifnei Moshe u'Miriam. Ze'elianu ve'amru, Ze'elianu ve'amru, Adonai imloch le'olam va'ed, Adonai imloch le'olam va'ed. Yai, 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 yai. Yeah, die, 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 yeah, die, 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 die. We join together in Hashkivenu on page 26. Now, I know I say this maybe once a month, so if you're here regularly, but the words of the Hashkivenu are sort of all over the place on this in this version of the Siddur. The words that I sing are not here, which is Shomreinu instead of Malkeinu. Shomreinu means our guardian, and Malkeinu means our king. And Shomreinu is just a better word for me to describe what I believe God is up to. But you can sing the words as they are written on the page. You can sing that words. You can sing Lai Lai, or you can sit and listen. But will you join me? Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom v'hamidenu shomreinu l'chaim. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom v'hamidenu shomreinu l'chaim. Oh, guide my steps and help me find my way. I need your shelter now. So rock me in your arms and guide my steps. And help me make this day a song of praise to you. So rock me in your arms and guide my steps. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom v'hamidenu shomreinu l'chaim. Going to join together for the Amidah, which you will find beginning on page 51. I invite you to rise. Adonai, sfatai tiftach. Ufi agid tehilatecha. Adonai, sfatai tiftach. Ufi agid tehilatecha. Adonai, sfatai tiftach. Ufi agid tehilatecha. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei Avoteinu v'Imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzhak, v'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Leah, v'Elohei Rachel, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'Konei Hakol, V'Zocher Chasdei Avot V'Imahot, Umevi Gula Livnei B'neihem, L'ma'an Shemo Be'ahava, Melech Ozer U'Moshiach U'Magen. Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Abraham ve'Ezrat Sarah. Atah gibor le'olam Adonai, Mehayeh hakol atah Rav le'Hoshia. Mechakel hayim bechesed, Mehayeh hakol berachamim rabim. Somech noflim, rafeh holim, umatir asurim, umekayem emunato, lishenei afar, mikamocha ba'al gilurot, umido melech, melech memit umechayeh, Umatzniach Yeshua, v'ne'eman atah lahachayot hakol. Baruch atah Adonai, b'chayei hakol. Atah kadosh, Shemcha kadosh, u'kadoshim b'chol yom yahalucha sela. Baruch atah Adonai Ha'el HaKadosh. I invite you to be seated. We're going to continue with Vishamru, which is on page 55. Veshamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat le'dorotam berit olam. Veshamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat le'dorotam berit olam. Beini ubein b'nei Yisrael oti le'olam, oti le'olam. Veshamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat le'dorotam berit olam. Ki sheshet yamim asa Adonai et hashamayim ve'et haaretz. Veshamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat le'dorotam berit olam. Uvayom hashvi Shabbat vaynafash, Shabbat vaynafash, Shabbat vaynafash. Veshamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat le'dorotam berit olam. Now I'm going to take a few moments for some silent prayer and reflection and meditation. You can feel free to pray the words that are on the next several pages or the prayers of your heart, and we will gather together in just a moment. Yehu leratzon imrei fi veheyon libi lefanecha Adonai tzuri Adonai tzuri Vegoali Well, friends, this week, the Torah portion is the second one in the book of Exodus. We've made it to Exodus. I like that we read Exodus in a time that isn't Passover because it gives us a chance to tell the story again and again, which is, of course, our favorite pastime. However, I think I mentioned this to you last year because we were in about the same place. I have a study partner, a chavruta, which is the word for study partner, comes from the word chaver, which is friend. He and I have been studying together since I took this job, and we study together once a week. And we started at the beginning of Exodus, and now we are in chapter 7. So we go line by line. Sometimes we get through one verse, sometimes we don't get through any verses. And Mark is a retired engineer who I met at school. He was getting his master's in Jewish studies while I was starting my second year of rabbi school. And we've just stayed in touch, and he's become a dear friend, which is great because his brain, as I'm sure you can imagine, as a logical person, thinks a little differently than mine. You have all met me, so you can see that that's true. And we were talking about this part of the Torah portion, Vayera, this week, because that's where we are, and it happens to line up. This happened once a year so far, so it's pretty great. And there's this piece of the Torah portion. So basically what's happening is God has finished giving Moses all of his instructions for how he's supposed to approach Pharaoh. He says, take your brother Aaron, go. Here's what you're going to say. Here's how it's going to happen. Here's what I'm going to do. Go perform these miracles in front of him and ask if your people can go out and pray in the desert. Pharaoh's going to say no because I'm going to harden his heart. And then you're going to have to really prove yourself by doing these like specific miracles. And Pharaoh's still going to say no. And then the plagues start. So we have the first of the 7 plagues. So this is this moment in which God tells Moses, Moses was kind of a reluctant leader. When God first told him, hey, you're going to do this, he was like, oh, no, thank you. This is not for me. And God was like, sorry, this is what you're up to. And Moses said, I have the speech impediment. I can't really do it. God said, don't worry. That's why you have your brother. So they were supposed to go together. But, it's interesting to me that God needs Moses to perform these signs, like to turn turn the staff into the rod and turns the Nile into blood, because that's a different guy. But God could just do those things on God's own. God doesn't really need Moses to do those things. Which got me thinking, board members, sorry that you've heard this already, but it got me thinking about our partnerships with God and our partnerships with each other and what it is that we need to do in order to make things happen. God performs miracles constantly. There are always, just thinking about breathing alone. I understand that it's science, but to me, it feels pretty miraculous, right? That is happening all the time. So God clearly doesn't need human beings to do cool tricks to perform in front of Pharaoh. And yet God and Moses and Aaron work together. So I'm just thinking a lot about this idea of partnership and what it means to be in community with people, and how even if you don't need somebody to work together, make something greater, right? It was through Moses that Pharaoh was able to hear all this stuff. If it weren't for Moses and Aaron, Pharaoh would have been like, oh, my God's caused this thing to happen, or my magicians made this thing happen. There would have been no reason for Pharaoh to believe what was going on was anything other than normal stuff. And so I feel grateful for that kind of partnership, because I think it means that we don't have to do anything alone. We are never really alone, even in the moments when we feel loneliest, when we feel like, oh, well, I guess it's just on me to do this thing. There's always somebody we can reach out to. There's always a partnership there. And there's always the divine within us to rely on and strengthen us. And I'm really grateful for that today because I think it's daunting to think you have to go through the world alone. You are your own partner in creation, but actually, you have the divine within you and the people around you to help you do that. So I hope you'll take some of that spirit of partnership into the Shabbat with you, the spirit of togetherness. And if you're feeling a little lonely, you'll remember you aren't really alone. Shabbat shalom, everybody. Speaking of loneliness and people who may need a little extra partnership, a little extra support from us as a community, our thoughts turn to those people who are members of our community, who are loved ones of our community, who are in need of healing. This week we are thinking of Shay Bukema, Catherine Nelson, Robert Mast, Marilyn Janiak, Larry Littman, Ted Golden, Richard and Joe Koski, Lex Baum-Beslov, Mickey Berg, Sharon Burns, Mike Ingber, Barbara Saul, Doreen Billett, and Claudia Brenner. If you are at home and you're thinking about somebody who is in need of healing, I invite you to say that name aloud in your space as we say the names of our loved ones here in this space. It's our tradition to rise or raise your hand and share those names aloud, should you choose to do so.
I'm single, Greg, Jerry, and Greg. Esther Weiner.
We turn to page 67 and join together. Yishaberach Avotenu Mekor habracha Leimotenu. May the source of strength, who blessed the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Misheberach imotenu mekor habracha leavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shelema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen. Before we conclude our service this evening, I'd like to, first of all, thank you, Jan, for the tech help as always, and Amiko for being our board trustee this evening. Amiko, would you care to share a few announcements with us? Thank you.
Shabbat shalom, everyone. All right, for announcements. Our Hanukkah appeal continues into January, and we are now 60% of the way to our goal with plenty of matching funds left. So it's not too late to make a donation. Returning and new donors are needed and greatly appreciated. And if you've already donated, thank you. Our Sunday at Shul programs return this Sunday with drop-in Maj and a 6th, 7th grade Bar Mitzvah parent breakfast. Next week, you will not want to miss an incredible presentation about the history of the DIA by CST member Joel Stern. Register now at shirtikva.org. CST Adult Ed is thrilled to present a 4-week Holocaust class, the historical antecedents leading up to and including 1933 through 45. CST member Michael Liebson will lead the Zoom-only class, which takes place Thursdays in February from 7 to 8 p.m. Register online at shirtikva.org. Registration is now open for our chicken soup for the Jewish Soul Shabbat on Friday, February 3rd, right around the corner, which will include a soup making contest for dinner, followed by a wonderful Shabbat service. Register at shirtikva.org to participate in the contest or to just come and eat. The membership committee is planning a night of comedy with Rabbi Arnie as the star, and we would like to have a silent auction that night. Because this promises to be a spectacular evening, we need a few more volunteers. Please contact Joyce May if you can help. Have you been joining us either in person or virtually for Shabbat services? If you are interested in membership or religious school, please contact Executive Director Lorelei Berg. Thanks, everyone. Shabbat Shalom.
Oh, thanks, Amiko. A lot of good stuff going on. It's really exciting. We're going to turn now to the Aleinu. Eisenstein, would you like to come up and open the ark for Aleinu? Everybody, I invite you to rise. Yeah, come on up. We're on page 74. Aleinu l'shabayach l'adon hakol, v'aten gedula le'otzer reshit, shelo asanu b'rei ha'aratzon, v'lo samanu k'mishpachot ha'adama, shelo zamprokenu kachem, v'gor aleinu kechol hamonam, v'anachnu karim u'mishtachavim u'modim lifnei melech malchei hamlachim hakadosh baruch hu v'ne'emar v'ya Adonai lemelech kol haaretz v'yom hahu Please be seated just for a moment. We turn now to page 76. As we turn our thoughts to yesterday, to a world that lives only in our memory. As we recall the days gone by, we know the past is irretrievable. Yet, through the gift of memory, we recapture treasured moments and images. We are thankful for the happiness we knew with those no longer here, with whom we lived and laughed and loved. We praise the eternal wellspring of life who links yesterday to tomorrow. We affirm that despite all the tragedy bound up with living, it is still good to be alive. We understand that there can be no love without loss, no joy without sorrow. Then we have the courage to accept the all of life, the love and the loss, the joy and the sorrow. as we remember them. This week, we are in a period of Shaloshim for Deborah Springer, the sister of Stacy Ziegenfelder. We also recall the yard sites, the anniversary of the passing this week of Marty Bernstein, husband of Martha Bernstein and father of Michael Bernstein, and our beloved CST congregant and friend. Edward Solomon, brother of Deborah Gibbs. Arthur Silverstein, father of Michael Silverstein. William B. Comey, brother of Carolyn Comey. Joan Jacoby Falk Isaacson, mother of Herbert Falk. William Hertz, father of Steve Hertz. Leon Brewer, father of Matthew Brewer and beloved CST member. Charles Simpson, brother of Dave Simpson. Bobby Gavorin, sister of Penny Michelin. Mary Jo Kane, sister of Jenny Koenig. And Alan Silverman, brother of Harriet Silverman. If there's anybody else you are remembering this evening whose name you would like to share with our community, I invite you to do so. We join together in the Mourner's Cottage, the Kadisha Tome on page 78. I invite you to rise. Yitkadal v'yikadash shemei Rabbah, ve'alma divarach hirutei v'yamlich malchutei, ve'chayechon uvyomechon uv'chaye d'chol beit Yisrael, ba'agala uv'zman kariv v'imru, amen. Yehi shmei Rabbah mevarach le'olam umei almaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yipa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei dekudesha brichu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, ta'amiran be'alma v'imru, amen. Yehi shlama Rabbah min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru, amen. Oseh shalom b'imromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru, amen. May the source of peace bring peace to all who mourn and comfort to all who are bereaved here and everywhere, to which we say, amen. Oseh shalom b'imromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imru, amen. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen l'chaim. Oh, so excited. Okay, so one of my favorite parts of my job is getting to display these beautiful challah covers made by our first and second grade. This is a Tu B'Shvat 2023. Each kid decorated their own tree. It's so cute. It's the best. So if you want to get a closer look, you can. But man, if only you knew these kids well, you would see these are their personality. This is accurate. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen. it be a Shabbat of partnership, a Shabbat of togetherness, and a Shabbat of feeling less alone. Amen. Amen. Shabbat shalom, everybody. Do like a little lunch? You say you want to pass it around if you like. Mom and Dad. Good job.